I'm kind of sorry, I guess, because I've sneezed a couple of videos up this week. I lost my way a little bit about this whole channel and about how realistically it started out as me just needing some place to go to talk, really. And I know it might seem a bit dumb, but there's very few people in my real life who know where things are with me, like in terms of my mind. I'm very reasonably good, shall we say, at masking things, and what people don't know can't hurt them. But it's just wild because tonight I've just had one of those moments where if you have some real negative mindset, like you bipolar, you're depressed, this kind of thing, you know how sensitive you can be sometimes. And as much as you try and just carry on with normal life, you can get completely innocent things wrapped up, turned inside out, upside down, and everything. And it can make you just, I don't know, it's like melt down, basically. It's really melt down and lose your way a bit. And tonight that happened. I don't even know what it was. That's the worst thing. There's no definitive trigger as such. Just somebody said something to me and I took it completely the wrong way. And the worst thing for me is feeling and knowing that you're on the verge of having this little bit of a shake and trying so hard, trying so hard to push through that your mind is very obviously just switched. Just trying to ignore that negativity and just trying to be open, real, just take what's been said just as face value and don't dig into it too far. But your mind just does that. And I think something that you don't really hear of very often from people or around the whole subject of like depression, anxiety and bipolar and all this kind of stuff is how it makes you think you are being towards other people, in that you know what you feel internally. You get like that rush of bad energy, if you like, and then how you feel that you're projecting yourself on other people, or how you feel that you're literally just coming across to other people, it can really mess you up. And at this point, I just want to be as isolated as I can be from people, because I don't want to say the wrong thing and upset somebody I really don't want to upset. I don't want to get things twisted. I don't want to push conversation towards an unnecessary argument that was never the intention or the direction that it was going to go. It's just, if you say nothing, you can really feel that you're saying nothing, and then that makes conversation really awkward, obviously, because you're not saying anything. But your mind is really stuck on that negative energy, and it's like, okay, so how do you navigate through that without feeling in yourself that you're trying so hard to avoid something, but at the same time feeling that everything you do say is going to upset the other person? So you're constantly like, you're trying to manage so much stuff, and it's all because of just this one tiny little piece of negative energy that you got inside you is trying to convince you that things are rougher than they are. And now this is, ironically, goes, when I said about the video about depression, and it's not always, or it's not fully like a chemical imbalance, and there's a lot to do with life around it and everything else. And arguably, I suppose, if you dig deep enough, you can still get to some underlying kind of thing that triggers it, which, over time builds into something. But to go from pretty much a normal, decent day to flicking a switch, and then, that overwhelming negative energy has to come from somewhere, right? And for me at this moment in time, I'm struggling to particularly pinpoint what I could relate it to in terms of, you know, my life and the little thing that I would like to change that would have the knock-on effect of positivity. This just literally feels like it's a switch that's been flicked, that's just thrown me down a hill, really. It's really tough because I've noticed my family have become harder for me to talk to, because I can get in such a downward spiral. I try and, you know, I try and be honest with them, but I try and also be realistic. You know, I sometimes talk about my struggles in terms of going back to work, and I did not realize how much of a mental struggle it would be for me to just have a conversation with my workplace after all the spinal surgery and everything else. I did not expect it to be such a overwhelming anxiety thing, really, where just the thought of just making a phone call, having them, you know, send a message to just say, can I come and have a chat? I just didn't realize it. But at the same time, when I try and talk to the people in the house, I do, you know, I'm quite open. I'm quite happy to sit here and admit there's no such thing as a free ride. Everybody has to work. And to my knowledge, and I don't know if this is true or not, but to my knowledge, there is a job that I can go back to. And obviously, you'd be absolutely dumb to turn that down. There's a lot of ifs and buts around it. It's not good for my physical health, but it's a job, you know. At this moment in time, I know what that job requires of me and what I am capable of, and I know that there are ways and means around the really difficult stuff that I'd struggle with, but I would still be able to do kind of the job. So I know a lot of people love to jump on me about, you know, you trying to be something special that doesn't have to work and all this sort of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I completely understand and agree on like how society say works in that respect, that everybody has to pull their weight, everybody has to toe the line. I completely understand that. I'm trying to have a conversation with people about stuff, and I don't know whether I'm overcompensating what I'm trying to say or what, but you know, they ask if you're alright and you kind of not really, but you try and talk to them about it, but then at the same time you're trying to smooth it over with accepting and understanding what society expects of you. And you know, at the end of the day, all I can say is everybody's got their own stuff going on, you know. So it's like, who cares about mine, if that makes sense? It's not from a, you know, other people outside of me should care, but the point is, why should I talk to person A about my problems when person A has their own shit going on, if that makes sense? So that's what I mean, is like, why should anybody care? Because you've got your own shit going on, so why should you care about my shit? You know, I've got to deal with my shit just like you've got to deal with yours. And whereas before, questions would be asked, or, you know, conversation would be sparked up, something, now it's just, okay, it's just accepted that, like, I don't need to talk. And I think that's a struggle. I'm finding that I have less and less of a voice to people in real life when I sort of reach out for talk or help, or just in general, not even about myself, just in general. I've noticed a few times I'll try and have a topic of conversation, and as soon as somebody literally loses interest, they'll just, it's like, you know, oh, jump on my phone and play on my phone or whatever. It's like I don't exist. Literally like I don't exist, like I was never there. Which, that doesn't make you feel great, I'm not gonna lie, it really doesn't make you feel great. I don't care how old you are, who you are. If you're having a face-to-face conversation with somebody and just mid-conversation they just literally, like, ignore you, you're gonna feel a few different ways. You're either gonna feel real pissed at them, you're gonna feel real let down by them, you know, there's a multitude of different things that you feel. But I'm starting to really understand what various people say about how men are viewed in this world, in the respect that Nobody cares. Nobody does care. Honestly, nobody does care. And other men who are going through a similar thing will care for a very short amount of time. And then they can't care because they're going through it themselves. And either what you're going through or what you're talking about is too real for them, it's too relatable for them that, it triggers their own stuff. Or at the end of the day, as men, you just got to put up and shut up with it. It's the older I get, it's becoming more and more obvious, basically, that that's the thing. Now, the other week I said I got hold of the whole NHS thing to go down in a counsellor. I spoke to the counsellor a couple of days after I sorted the appointment out. I spoke to the counsellor. They put me onto some self-referral system. Self-referral system got back to me today. Honestly, feels like it's a complete waste of time. It's a self-help session where you're given homework by somebody who's not even a counsellor. So they're just there to check up on you. How did you find this week's exercises? How did you get on with them? Did you struggle with anything? That kind of thing. And you can specify what you would like, whether you'd like face-to-face, telephone or video appointments. And I specified face-to-face. I'm really noticing that I'm struggling with the lack of people to talk to in real life, like socially, via social media, via the internet, whatever. I can speak to a few people fine. But in terms of the real world, there's very few. So I put down that thing. I put down I wanted to speak face to face. One, because I thought they were actually a counsellor. I could sit down and have a conversation with them. And two, for that actual personal interaction. Well, the telephone call with the people that arrange it all today basically said, oh, well, you see them once a week for 20 minutes. And you've got to appreciate that we cover such a large area that we don't have specific rooms and that we can only use communal spaces and that. So she's like, so really, our face-to-face, it's not really practical. So you just kind of think, you know what, okay, fine. What's the point in trying to tailor help to yourself if they're going to decide it their own way anyway? I had a little laugh to myself and, I was like, just phone me when you're ready then. And there is a 5 to 6 week wait period before there's somebody available to even start that system. So I will not go down that system until at least January. Yeah. The other good news is the actual counsellor that I spoke to last week, I will be speaking with them again this week. So I speak with them. I have no idea what to expect from them, really. She seemed somewhat helpful the first time I spoke to her, although we kind of got stuck in a loop of what I do for a living and what I would like to do for a living, and her suggesting a few things and then just talking about what she did. So it just reminds me of the last time that I had to try and find some help for something. In that there doesn't feel that there's many male counsellors out there. It doesn't feel that there's many male counsellors out there. So you're left speaking with female counsellors, and for me anyway, I found that when I speak with a female counsellor, we just talk about them and their life. Now, that could be me. That could be me being very good deflecting, or it just could be the unfortunate counsellors that I have found the pleasure of using, if you like, whatever the word is. But yeah, just wanted to talk to somebody really, and here I am. I don't know. Cheers.